Well, good morning. This is part 2, guys. Get ready. Get ready, part 2. Today, we're talking about being in the position for a miracle or breakthrough or intervention. Sometimes we hold ourselves back. I'll fix that. We hold ourselves back because we're not even in position. So that's what we're going to talk about. Point number 1. You can't put a piano in a car. Can't do it. I've seen people try. I've been in the Walmart parking lot and I have seen people try to put things in cars that were not made to go inside cars. And they're trying and they're trying. But the point of that is God can't provide you a blessing that you're not ready for. You have to be in position for it. Point number 2 is we have to expect adjustments. It's not how you imagined it, and hear this, it may never be how you imagined it. And that's okay. Expect the adjustments. And point number 3, don't give up. You have too much to lose. You don't give up. There are so many other things. See, God didn't make us a quitter. If you go through the Bible, hands down, you're not going to see him say, and I told Abraham to give up. And I told Moses, after nobody listened to Moses, just give up. You're done. You're done. Don't worry about it. I relieve you of this burden. Nowhere does he say to give up. He gets frustrated, but he doesn't tell us to give up. He made you victorious. He made you a winner. So the next question is, well, what are you asking God for? And when you're asking God for things, are we looking for him to provide? Jesus gives us a little insight when he says in Luke chapter 11, verses 11 through 13, which of you fathers, if your son asks for a fish, will give him a snake instead? Or if he asks for an egg, will give him a scorpion? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give the Holy Spirit to those who will ask him? The point behind that is he understands what we're asking for. Yes, there are some tweaks. Yes, there are some adjustments. But at the end of the day, he's not going to throw you some wild thing out of nowhere. He's going to give you what you need. He's going to provide for you. So point number 1 is you can't put a piano in a car. Don't miss it. See, if you already decide in your mind, you know what, we can't get that in the car, can't do it, I'm going to drive my little car forever, this is what I have, this is all we're doing, and this is where it is. You just limited all your potential. You limited everything God destined you to have, and now you put it in a box and say, well, this is all I can have. You know, they used to say when they first come out with the Fords in the 19-somethings, early 1920s, roughly, they're like, Fords came in every color that you wanted as long as it was black, right? That's what they were. They were black cars. And the thought process that could change or that could revolutionize over time became incredibly different, changing. It was a big thing for society that all of a sudden cars started having colors. Now look at the things that people drive around. Man, you can get any color you want. You can do almost anything you want. You can paint it to look like a lizard. You can have a camel car. You can do whatever you want. Things change. Things go on. But the point that I'm talking about is we have to get ourselves in a place that we're not missing the opportunities. And when we start to limit our mind, we miss the opportunities, just like you did with a car. And now we don't think of it that way. We have all sorts of opportunities because somebody told you. Isn't that interesting? 100 years ago, you didn't know all the different colors were going to be available, and so you stuck with black. But now that we know something, that changes. Our faith changes based on what we learn and what we know. And believe it or not, our faith isolates us. Because we get ourselves into a place where we say, well, this is kind of how things work, this is kind of the way things are, and this is the way things will be. And therefore, I'm not stretching myself out anywhere on anything to do anything different. And it's very interesting because Jesus gives an example of the virgins in the Bible who all have this oil in their lamps. And they all want to go meet the bridegroom. These people want to get married. They want to get on with life, you know. Some ladies are sitting there going, why rush it? But I'm kidding, you know. There are some people raring to go. They wanted to get this to happen. And some of them were prepared. And they made sure they had enough oil. And some of them weren't. And the foolish one said to the wise, give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out. And no, they replied, there may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived, and the virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. We can totally miss it. We can miss everything that God had for us with our own free will. So I tell you that we have limited free will, and that means God's going to point you in a direction. He also says he's a gentleman when he stands at the door and knocks. He's not going to shove you around all day long. Yeah, now do this, now do that. Can you imagine how much fun that would be? You know? Instead, he's letting you pick some of your destiny. He's letting you do some of the things that are your opportunity in life. And unfortunately, if you don't prepare, say, well, maybe I should get some extra oil so I'm ready for this. You miss it. And the door gets shut. And the opportunity you could have had passes you by. So this year we're talking about getting ready. We're talking about all the blessings that God has ready for you this new year. And if you're going to be ready, you have to be in position. We were talking about if you're going to raise animals, you probably need a place for them. If you're going to have children, you probably need a bed for them. There are things that we need to do to get in place to get ready in our lives. And God doesn't want us to be limited, but there are opportunities you simply cannot get the blessing from when that door is shut or when you don't have the vessel ready for what he wants to give you. Anybody ever ran out of gas? Okay, it's just me. So when you run out of gas, sometimes let me tell you something, okay? I'll never forget. I had my uncle, we're driving the pickup down, we'd gone down to the pond, and it died. And I'm like, I don't know, something must be wrong. He gets out, he's looking under the hood, he's checking all these things, and he finally looked at me and went, you don't have any gas in this thing. Like, that's common sense. That's the first thing you do. I said, well, I was a little low. You're not tight on money. You need gas. But the point is when you go to get gas, try to put it in your hand and see how far you go. Right? That's not going to work. That's not my vessel. I'm not ready. I'm not in position. Now, a guy that was smart enough would actually have gas in the vehicle, but if you're just a step below that, then you have a gas can as well. See, because you know you can't put it in your hands. And that's important for us to understand. You have to be in position. You have to have something. And point number 2 is you have to expect adjustments. It's not going to be the way you planned it. It's not going to be the way you thought it out. I'm going to say this one more time. It's not going to be the way you planned it. It's not going to be the way you thought it out. You know, when Bree and I were first together, we'd sit on the rainbow tree. We talked about how we were going to have our family. 12 children, and all. We stopped at 4, baby. It's not the way we planned it. Things change, and that's not bad. We're perfectly happy with what we have. But things change. Your life's going to change. God's going to adjust you. You have to be ready to adjust. You know, everybody always says the only thing consistent in life is change. And the only thing everybody hates is change. And everybody wants change. So what is it? What do you want? You've got to anticipate. You have to understand it's going to happen. And if you are walking in the wrong way on your pursuit and you're unbending and you're unyielding and unwilling to adjust, it could be the very thing that kills you. It could ruin you. In Luke chapter 9, verses 23 through 26, it's just beautiful. Jesus says, for whoever wants to save their life will lose him. Does that mean that? What does that talk? He's being very clear here. But whoever loses their life for me will save it. Where's your focus? What are you willing to adjust to? What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self? We've all met those people. There's something to being driven. And there's something to driving people crazy. And there's a difference. And when you're going so hard at what you think is right, and you won't stop to let the Holy Spirit show you, guide you, talk to you, what happens? You miss it. And you miss the very blessing. And because you can't adjust, you can't get blessed. See, I'm not saying you have to jump and hold your right foot in the air and do all these things just right so God will bless you. No, it's common sense. If you don't have a gas can, you can't get gas to your car. If you don't have the things in position that God wants you to have to be blessed, how do you expect the blessing to come? It takes something. It's more than just, He does work miracles. He's going to do it all, right? If you want God to bless you to have 1,000 cows, you've got to start with some. You've got to start with knowledge. If you want God to bless you to start a school, you've got to learn how to teach people. If you want God to guide you in whatever it is, it's a process. And there are things that you have to do to get into position for it. And if you're not in position, and you don't make the adjustment, you're not going to get there. And this is the best part. He wants us to adjust. And God sends us lots of things that help us adjust. In fact, I venture to say he's kind of like a bloodhound. Okay? He can smell a quitter a mile away. And as soon as you are unwilling to adjust and you're doing your own thing, and God keeps trying to send you this, and God's sending you that, and you're not doing it. No, I'm going to try that. I'm not going in that direction. God smells it out. And he never designed us to be quitters. He never designed us to come to a spot and then I'm not doing anything. I'm going to just give it all up. And I'm just going to live a simple life. Listen. The easy life ends up becoming incredibly hard. And the hard life ends up becoming incredibly easy. It's a big difference. I'm hoping I'm somewhere in between. But I'm just saying, there's a spot there that you can enjoy. You've got to work for it. God grows us for a reason. He doesn't allow it to be easy. I can tell you, my own life, our house, we took on this house and it needed a lot of remodeling. And I'm like, I can do this. And I took off some time from work. And I've got the skid steer, and I rent the skid steer, and I dig out, and I'm digging under the basement, I'm digging, and 2 days later, I'm still digging, and I'm still digging, and then I'm 3 in the morning, and I'm still digging. And I'm not going to give up. I knew God had that for us. I knew that was the direction He called us to have that home. And I ground, and everybody else is sleeping. And I'm still running that loader all night long. Get a couple hours of sleep, I jump back up, and I get it. Because I needed to have it done. You all have opportunities in life. I don't care if it's a project you're working on, if it's a breakthrough with a family member, a friend, or whatever. God has called you to sit there and grind, and it's tough, and it's hard, and it's helping you adjust. It's helping you grow. It's making you better. And what He's watching for is if you're going to give up. He's looking for you to push through, not give up, not give in. That's easier said than done. Back to the basement. I get some help. People help me. I'm so blessed. And then stuff still has to get done. And I'm working way into the night. And I'm trying to lift these walls up by myself. I framed them, then you put concrete board on, because that's common sense, right? So that makes them even heavier. And I'm standing there, I can't even I'm trying to get my knees on there. I got to get them straightened up and somehow mount them so that at least stay. Basement's a little crooked, but let me tell you, you You put the nail gun over your shoulder, you work and you work and you work and you get it, and you just throw a nail where it goes, and then you kind of beat it in place and use a level kind of. And then you're like, well, it's kind of crooked, I'll go with that. But at the end of the day, I was dedicated, and I fought through it, and the basement got done, and we moved in. I'm like, yes, I made it. We're okay. And God's like, well, another test. And then it flooded. Not a big deal. It was only a foot. We could deal with it. We were out there. We bucketed it out. People helped us. We were so blessed, this church. You guys helped us. We got it all out. That night, like, babe, let's just go to Cheyenne. We need a rest. Let's just go get something to eat. Because we were completely devastated that our house had just been flooded. We go to Cheyenne. It's beautiful in Cheyenne. On the way home, we see just devastation in the car. And everything's underwater. And we drive up to the house, and I'm fishing goats out of the window wells. And the basement had filled all the way to the floor. And I'm like, now that's not quite as easy to overcome. And so I turned around and Bree said, so how bad is it? I said, don't look. Don't even get out of the car. It's not worth it. And you know what? God took us through that too. And I'm still here. And I still have my house. We survived it. See, God lets us go through these things to make adjustments. Expect them. Sometimes we're praying for them to not come, but he needs them to come to grow us so we aren't quitters. And in that process, we're stronger. We're wiser. Guess what? I put a berm around our whole house. It ain't flooded at all. I made sure that you learn a few things in time. You figure it out. You do what you have to do. But that's not just for me. That's every one of us. And as we're getting in position this year for our miracles to have a great year, you have to understand that that doesn't mean I don't want to hear in March, well, you said there'd be miracles. I want to tell you about my life. I want to tell you what happened. No, that's good. Embrace it, because it means the better stuff's coming. It's just the beginning. Anything that grows, seeds have to break through a shell. Chicks, when they hatch, have to bust out of a shell. When baby mammals are born, they have to bust out of their moms. And let me tell you, I didn't experience it personally, but I've seen that it was quite a challenge. There's an opportunity there that makes us grow. Don't miss it. Don't miss it, and don't regret it. Because those are the very things that sharpen us. So the Bible says iron sharpens iron. It's so important. We need that. We need that strengthening. But then the next part is, don't give up. And I really like what it says in Micah chapter 7, verses 7 to 10. It says, but me, and I put this in the Message version. I just love it. Micah just says it like this. But me, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. For me, other people doing what they do, I'm sticking around to see what God will do. Think about that for a second. Put your brain in where Job was. He buried 10 of his kids. 10 of his kids, his body's breaking out in boils. He's going through absolute misery, and then his wife wants to help him by ragging in his ear and telling him what everything he's doing wrong, and he should curse God and die. And Job says, no. Though he slay me, I'm going to trust him. I'm not backing down. See, we have to get into the place where we understand. Job said, I have to make some adjustments. I went from chicken to feathers. I understand what it's like to be having some money, and now I'm broke. And I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up, and I'm not giving up on God. God will get me through this. And it's easy to say, oh, well, then Job was totally restored. It's absolutely true. And he had more blessings. That's what we're talking about for all of us. See, you have to go through the fire to get to the next spot. You have to be pushed. It has to be rough. It has to take you to the place that you're not comfortable, because that's where you grow. Anyway, going back to Micah, he says, I'm waiting for God to make things right. I'm counting on God to listen to me. Anybody ever sat there and went, did he miss me? That said, you know what, I'm going to call my friend and ask them to pray because God's not hearing me for whatever reason. It feels like that. But do you understand what a prayer does? It's such a convoluted thing, it's more than we can ever understand. But if God's a gentleman, and he stands at the door and he gives us free will, if we don't pray and invite him to get involved in our situation, he very well may not get involved. It's like we're giving God permission to act in our lives. And prayer is essential. And he does harm us, and he does listen. And he hears the cries of our heart. He's listening. And Micah's right. I'm counting on God to listen to me. And when it's hard and when it's rough, we have to stand there and go, no. I'm counting on God to listen to me and guide me and adjust me. Because he does. And he makes it better. And he goes on to say, don't, enemy, crow over me. I'm down, but I'm not out. I absolutely love that. You go home saying that. I'm down, but I'm not out. This may not be easy. This may not be perfect, but I'm not a quitter. And I'm not shutting down, because when God put that in my heart, and he said, this is where I want you to go, he provides, but he grows us at the same time. Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs. They are some of the most elite in the military. Those dudes go through hell to get trained. They start out with several hundred people in a class to pick 30. How do you get there? Swimming with sharks in the dark, sitting in mud for hours on end, fighting the battles, the simple hazing and all the other issues, and they get them, and they get them going, and they get them, and they strike them, and they cut a few, and a few more. People start quitting. Do you know they have a ring the bell thing now? I don't know if they do now with the cards in the military now. They give out the cards for I'm stressed out, I can't take it anymore. But they have a ring the bell game that anytime the Navy SEALs want out, they can just go out and ring this bell and they're done. They'll let them go. Nobody's holding their feet to the fire. You want to be a Navy SEAL, go swim with the sharks. You're going to do this here. No, it's all their choice. They're voluntarily doing it, just like us. But to get where they need to go, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. They're swimming in the dark in shark water. I keep saying that because I went scuba diving, I saw a shark, I became uncomfortable. Okay? So I'm thinking about the dark stuff, and I'm thinking the dark is even more uncomfortable. I did a night dive, and my light went out. Listen, guys. The ocean's dark. It's very big. And again, I became uncomfortable. And my friend is like trying to stay with my light. Well, you know how you can talk in water? That's what you do. To get each other's attention. You can't do anything else. So I'm trying to get his attention. And I'm stuck on a reef. So I'm like, I know where you went. I'm going to die out here. And I'm okay with it. But I'm going to try to live. So I start trying to surface. And I end up am like about to bump my head when something grabs a hold of my leg. I was very uncomfortable. I was yanking, and I turn and it's my buddy with the light, and then he's shining the light, and a boat is going over me, and the prop is coming right at me. And I'm like, I get down, and then they do all the sign language. He's asking if I'm okay. No, dude, out. I'm done with this, but I get it. So I look back to the Navy SEALs. I'm nowhere near them. I'm not that tough. So God gives me a little bit less of a challenge. But you know they teach them? They're out in the ocean. A shark comes at you, what they say? Punch him. Punch him as hard as you can. And I want everybody walking out of here today, remember, you can punch the devil as hard as you can. Because all of us feel like we're in shark water sometimes. All of us feel like, I am getting circled. This is uncomfortable. I don't like this. I'm out of my comfort zone. And God's back there going, yes, you're going to get better. You're going to be stronger. This is going to be good for you. And you're out there going, no. I want out. But it's at that point in time, you need to be ready to double up your fist and punch him in the nose. Because that's how you win. That's not a quitter. And you will get out of it. And you will get to the shore. You can do it. So he goes on to say, but God is my light. I'm sitting in the dark right now. Been there, done that. And God is my light. I can take God's punishing rage. I deserve it. But it's not forever. He's on my side and is going to get me out of this. He'll turn on the lights and show me his ways. I'll see the whole picture and how right he is. And my enemy will see it too and be discredited. Yes, disgraced. This enemy who kept taunting. So where's this God of yours? I'm going to see it with these. My own eyes. My enemy disgraced. Trash in the gutter. That's every one of us. It comes. And you have to sit there like Micah and go, okay, I can roll with this. I get it's uncomfortable. It's so nice when things go on for like a week and you're praying for a miracle and God like helps you in a week. That's great. It's those 5 and 10-year battles that become awful difficult. I get it. 15 years, 20 years, I get it. So don't you give up. There's no reason. So point number 1 is you can't put a piano in a car. You have to be in a position to have what God wants to give you. Don't expect him to be giving you something in a vessel you're not able to do. And with that, that means you're going to have to make adjustments. And you have to expect to make adjustments. He's going to adjust us. He wants it. In Mark chapter 10, verse 27, Jesus looked at them and said, with man, this is impossible. But with God, all things are possible. And once in a while, we have to tell ourselves that because those 10 and 15 and 20-year battles become incredibly tough. I get it. When you're longing and you're longing and you're longing and you're like, I'm just a failure. I can't get where I'm trying to go. And why would God put this in my heart if I can't get there? And then he's got the grinder wheel out there and he's just grinding your toenails another time. You're like, I can't. You can. You can. Keep pushing in. This is your year. 2019, the blessings are coming. But there are going to be battles. I can't stand here and tell you you're not going to have battles. It's going to make you better. So expect the adjustments. John 21, verse 6 said, he said, throw your net to the right side of the boat and you will find some. What am I talking about? So they're out fishing. And they're blanking because they're going, well, this is where the fish always are. This is the glory hole. I know where to go. I always get the fish here. This is what. And Jesus is like, hey, how's it going out there? And they're like, oh, well, you know, I'm told you're having a problem over here. Can't catch a thing. He's like, let's throw your net over there. Look. Yeah, but over there, the fish aren't. Now, Jesus didn't say this exactly, but I'm guessing he's like, well, it didn't look like they're over there either. So why don't you try what I said? And they probably used the process of elimination. They went, okay, well, we'll give it a shot just for Jesus' sake. And then they got so many fish they can't even bring it in. But we do that. No, this always works. This is what I do. This is what I know. I'm going to stay in that realm. And Jesus is like, no, let me shove you over here. Because this is where it is now. Because this world's ever changing. Everything's fluid. What do we expect? He's going to grow us. Point number 3. Don't give up. I said you have too much to lose. God gave us, every one of us, a purpose, a destiny, a destination that nobody else can live, nobody else can fulfill. What we do inside of us is huge if we don't do it. It's devastating. You know, I just heard that the average individual has an influence over 8,000 people in their lifetime. In a generation, You can influence, in a generation, you can influence several million people, one individual. Can you imagine, they talk about the butterfly effect, can you imagine what that does if you quit? Can you imagine who that might affect if you give up? God didn't make you a loser. You're a masterpiece. As soon as you think of quitting, you already know it's premature. You're still premature in the game. And you're not anywhere there. You're destined to win. You're destined to prevail. You've got to stay in the fight. You're going to make it. And you are going to have the blessings. Will you please stand with me? We as the Car Community Church will always present Christ's open doors of heaven to everyone. If you'd like to make Jesus your Savior, you simply say, Jesus, I'm sorry for my sins. Come into my heart and I'll serve you with all of my ability. If you prayed this prayer, we believe you've begun the Christian transformation. If you want to know more, it's simply like prayer. Feel free to come up during the last song. Father God, we come to you humbly, Lord, open and broken. We ask you, Lord, to guide us, to shape us, but to keep us strong in the midst of the battles, to keep us tough. Lord, help us to continue to keep our eyes on you and on your sights. Remind us of your unfailing hand. Father, I ask your favor to be poured out on everyone. Give us divine approval, Jesus, and most of all, fill us with your perfect peace. Bless everybody's week. In Jesus' name, amen. And we're going to sing Shout to the Lord, right? And I'm giving a tidbit for next week. Part 3, we're going to be talking about how we win. Because today wasn't enough. And it's going to be even more fun.
My Jesus, my Savior, Lord, there is none like you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love. My comfort, my shelter, tower of refuge and strength, every breath, all that I am, never cease to worship. Shout to the Lord of the earth, let us sing. Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains are bound and the seas are roar at the sound of your name. I sing for joy at the word of your hands. Forever I'll love you, forever I'll stand. Nothing compares to the promise of us in you. My Jesus, my Savior, oh, there is none like you. All my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love. You're my comfort, tower of refuge and strength, every friend, all that I am, never cease to worship you.
God bless you guys. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week for so much more fun.